Yeah, you might have undersold it a little bit because this is incredible. 30 players, like you were almost single-handedly funding the poker community. So having 30 players that you were paying to play in these tournaments meant the swings you would have on any given day were just insane. Like we're talking about the money that you've earned from playing poker and a $1 million bankroll. But I remember when we were in Queenstown, you won a tournament on party poker for $50,000. And I remember being so excited for you. Like that was incredible to me. And you weren't even really that happy about it because in the background, I think like a ton of your horses hadn't done well and you maybe failed to even make money on the day. Like looking back at that period, does that sound crazy now to you?
Yeah, because I don't even really gamble these days. Like I'm not really a gambler. I don't play casino games. I think the only thing I bet on is fantasy football, basically. But back then, I didn't think I was gambling. I thought I had like an edge, and I thought of it as an investment. So I didn't really know much about the stock market or stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I know poker, and back then poker was way easier as well. So it was easy for me, and I thought, oh, if I can do it, like I can coach these guys, I can help them. I know what their weaknesses and strengths are, so I can make them better players, and they can play for me. And also it was a way for me to try and take a little bit of a backseat in the future, because I thought, okay, there's certain days during the week, like a Friday, where there's not as much action. So I can maybe just take that day off, do normal stuff, real world stuff, and try and have more of a normal life, but I'd still have some skin in the game. And so I'd still feel like I could earn some money and I wouldn't feel bad about taking the day off. So that was kind of my ultimate goal with it. And it didn't really
passive income almost. It's a passive income, right?
Yeah. So I guess, I wasn't thinking of it really like that, but yeah. But it didn't really work out like that because I ended up having to manage these 30 different people. I didn't even for some reason, I decided not to get an assistant, which was one of the worst things I ever did. And then I was trying to sort out people's real life problems as well. And yeah, it was a shit show basically.
Again, underselling that. So, like you didn't have an assistant. You were the best online poker player in the world, and at the same time, you were running this huge business, transferring tens of thousands of dollars a day to different accounts, and doing it all yourself. And mostly, it was work through a system of trust, right? You were trusting that the people were doing the right things with this money you were sending them. Obviously, you can't keep track of how everyone's playing and whether they're playing good or bad, and even if they're trying to like steal from you. But there must have been some occasions where things got a bit curly and got away on you.
Yeah, like definitely people stole from me. I found out about, and probably ones I didn't find out about because wouldn't have been exactly hard to do because I was just not very good at checking up on things, and I just didn't have enough time to sort everything. I remember one month actually, one of my horses had won a big live tournament for like €1.5 million. So I got half of that, and they gave it to me online. So it didn't even feel like real money. I've made €750,000 for doing nothing, and they've just sent it to me online. It's just a number on the screen, and all my other horses knew about this. So then they wanted to play higher tournaments. So I just decided to let them play higher tournaments for a month. And then I was on the last Sunday of this. It's like an online festival where you play tournaments all month. So everyone's playing. It's quite intense. But anyway, it's the last Sunday, the biggest Sunday of the series, and a lot of money in play. And I'm actually on day 2 of a big tournament. It's a heads-up tournament. So it's just me against someone else. So you have to play every hand, and it's quite intense. And at the same time, I've got 10 other tables going on. And then I've got everyone messaging me on Facebook Messenger or whatever, saying, I need 5K here, I need 5K there. So I'm trying to send money, play this game, play these other 10 games. And then I got an error message pop up, and it said, you've hit your monthly limits for transfers on PokerStars, which was $1 million I'd sent out. And I probably had less than 100K back from the people. So it'd been a bad month.
Okay, I need to go back in one detail there. So you had a horse who won $1.5 million in a tournament, and you had 50%. So you were getting 50% of that. How is money not that meaningful to you that you're kind of like watching that as a side thing, or is that all your attention? Are you celebrating every time someone gets knocked out?
No, I was there for it, and I loved it. It was amazing. Like that was part of the thrill for it for me, was these big final tables when like a lot of these guys were my friends as well. So when they made the final table, and it was sort of life-changing money for them, and obviously like nice for me as well. And yeah, that was part of the reason that I was kind of addicted to doing it, was the action, the thrill of it. I was a blessing and a curse. One of my first ever horses, he got second in this big tournament they had in the Bahamas every year called the PCA. And it was in January, so it's at the start of the year. You're kind of coming in fresh, trying to crush the year at poker. And I just started backing a couple of guys, and he gets second in the tournament for $2 million. So I got $1 million just from watching him. And I was there. I was just getting drunk. Every time someone got knocked out, I made another $100,000. So I was just like having the time of my life. Woke up the next day. I had to check online to make sure it was real, like, because I got that drunk afterwards. And that kind of was obviously amazing, but then in the long run it was kind of bad because everyone knew I won that money and they were like hitting me up like crazy. And at first, you know, I got quite a few good players, and then I would just take on pretty much anyone who could spell poker. And you know, at first I was checking how they played. I knew them. I was like, okay, this guy's a good player. And then later on I was like, okay, well, this guy can beat the low stakes. I'll just put them in low stakes. But then the problem is, once they get in debt to you, if they have go on a losing streak, you put them in higher tournaments, and that's when they'll be playing against people who are better than them, and there'll be a dog in the field. So yeah, it was like amazing at the time, but me doing so well at the start was also bad because I thought it was easy money. So, and really it was far from that.
What was the most that a horse ever went into makeup for you?
What's makeup? Is that like credit, or is that money that they owe you that they've got to
that's the debt. So if someone was 100K in makeup, that would mean, say his next tournament, he'll say he won a big tournament, his next tournament for 105,000. The first 100,000 would go to me, so he'd get nothing, and then we'd split the 5,000 profit, 50-50 normally. So he'd only get $2,500 from winning 105,000. So the problem is, once someone gets in big makeup, they kind of lose motivation to play their best, because a lot of the time, you know, he could win a tournament for 50,000, he gets absolute zero from it. So he's only really doing it on good faith. And I have, you know, a lot of people, once they get into a hole, they don't get out of the hole. And you have to be kind of ruthless. And I had a good friend of mine. He was really good at just like, you know, writing it off, getting rid of people when they're in debt to him. He basically didn't think they would ever get out a certain number. And I always tried to like keep faith. I felt bad, and you know, some of them good friends of mine, and I thought, oh, if I drop them, they've got nowhere else to go. They're going to have to get a real job. They don't have any qualifications, blah blah blah. So yeah, I'd always keep these guys on, and 9 times out of 10 it backfired. This guy was in 100K makeup, would go up to 600K makeup. So like when they got to like 600K, that's kind of where I gave up on them.
That's a lot of money. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of money. Holy
someone owes you essentially $600,000.
Yeah.
And I guess the mindset is, when you're that deep, that you got to play the bigger events to get out of it, right? Like,
yeah, that's the only way you can get out of it. But they're normally the harder tournaments as well. So, and the bigger buy-ins, you know, those ones cost 10,000. So that's, you know, every time they don't cash, it's another 10,000 straight onto that number. So I had a guy before, I dropped him, he was 600K makeup, and then he wins the tournament like the next week on his own money, or he got in for a cheaper tournament, and he won it for like 80,000. So whatever, it wouldn't have cleared the 600,000 anyway, but I was still like, oh wow, damn, I would have been nice to have that. And anyway, to the 80,000, he played this tournament, which is like one of the most prestigious online tournaments, called the World Championships Online Poker Main Event. And he ended up chopping that one for 500,000. And I think he sent me like 2,000. So that was, yeah, it wasn't the best.